guys, so this real life drama is concerning, and it's extra concerning because these are your stories. These are not Reddit stories. They were submitted by you. Reminder, if you want to submit a story, it is linked in the video description of every single video. So get it in, because I'm taking up to 100 stories to work my way through. First story wants to be left anonymous. I caught my fiance cheating on me with my own father. Please forgive me if I start sounding off because this happened last year and it's still hard to talk or type about it. Like many who would have had this happen, I never thought this could happen to me, but here we are. I'm using fake names to protect myself because I do not want my ex or my parents discovering this. I'll provide some background as best as I can and be clear and precise to help you get the picture. All right, to start out, involved are me, Alan, 27 male, my ex-fiance Emily, 26, and my father, Brad, 58. Emily and I had known each other for a long time. Our families have known each other ever since we were both in high school. I come from a close-knit family, as did Emily. We just clicked instantly, I guess, because we had been friends for some time, so it just felt right. Both our parents were very supportive and excited to see us together. We went to homecoming and prom together, and we were high school sweethearts. Of course, we built close relationships with each other's parents. But here's where red flags began to pop up that I should have seen. I figured my father was just trying to be supportive and kind to Emily since we were getting married, but apparently a little too close. No pun intended. My father would call Emily every couple of days, and when I was around, they would always tell me that they were talking over wedding plans and if we needed anything with our new starter home. One time when Emily was making dinner, her phone buzzed and she asked me to answer it. I noticed that it was my father, and when he realized it was me on the other end, he sounded surprised and upset. When I asked what's wrong, he said he wanted to talk to Emily to ask if she wanted to go to breakfast for the upcoming weekend. Some context, me and mom were going on vacation to visit cousins of ours in San Francisco. I figured nothing was out of the ordinary because it's my father and my fiance, who he has known for so long. Even writing this, I feel like an idiot for not seeing these red flags when they appeared. Now let's get to the most disgusting part, and honestly, the worst day of my life. As I stated earlier, this was last year in May. For some background about me, I'm a 5th grade teacher who is working through the finals week of the school year. As our school does every year, we have an annual end of the year staff meeting where we finalize grades, take inventory, and talk with the school board about the upcoming year and if there are any changes that were needed. It was like any ordinary day. Emily made a nice breakfast, kissed me goodbye, and said we could go out to celebrate the end of the school year. Also, our home was only about a 30-minute drive. Halfway there, I realized I had forgotten some test scores that needed to be entered into the computer system. I figured since I was already halfway there, I would just get them next time. The day went on like any other day. I texted Emily saying I wouldn't be home till later that night. I usually get off at 3, which is when school ends, but due to our staff meeting, along with the meeting with the school board, I didn't get out until 5. I packed up and I headed home like normal. But when I got home, I noticed what looked like my father's car in the driveway. I didn't think anything of it because I figured he and my mom were just over to visit. Nope! It was like being in one of those movies where the husband comes home at an unexpected time to catch his wife cheating. There was a trail of both his and her clothes that led to our bedroom. The door was closed and I could hear moaning and some noises. I had a very sickening feeling. I immediately got out my phone and started recording, as well as a frying pan from the kitchen because I feared the worst. I take a deep breath, slowly open the door, turn on the light, and there they were. My father was on top of my fiance in our bed, having. My brain blacked out because I couldn't process what I was seeing. I was filled with rage, anger, sadness, betrayal. I just couldn't move. They both froze, and after the initial shock, my father noticed that I was recording. He started panicking and wrapped a towel around his waist and moved towards me, shouting, "Stop recording." In a fit of rage, I warned him, "Come any closer and I'll put your cheating ass through the wall." He either didn't care or listen, and when he tried to snatch the phone from me, I punched him square in the mouth and he backed into the door and flopped down onto the ground. My attention shifted to Emily. She was only concerned about my father more, which made my blood boil even more. More concerned about my father who you're sleeping with, but nothing to say to me? She was frantically scrambling for her clothes and going on saying, "You weren't supposed to see this." Keep in mind, I'm still recording the whole thing. My father was just now getting back on his feet. His nose is bleeding from hitting his face on the door. I told him he needed to get out of my house or I'm going to send this video to everybody you know. You are dead to me. Get out and don't bother going home to mom because she's the first person I'm telling. He literally ran out in just his boxers, holding his other clothes in his hands as he got in his car and drove away. I ended the recording, but I kept it to use for later. As for Emily, I couldn't even look at her. I started grabbing her clothes and a few other things out of the closet and I threw them outside. "I wish I never met you. How could you do this with my father?" Emily started trying to gaslight me and saying, "You're working too much when I wanted to spend more time with you." Typical cheater behavior. I told her the engagement was off and so was our relationship. I told her she needed to pack up her stuff and leave. FYI, her name was on the lease, so legally I couldn't kick her out, so I decided to pack up and move out. Of course, Emily was still trying to gaslight me while I'm packing my stuff, and I just didn't give in to her nonsense. As I was walking out the door, she stood in the driveway and said, "You're not leaving until we talk about this." What was there to talk about? I would have rather ripped my eyes out than talk about what I had seen in that bedroom. While she had her hands on me, I grabbed it and pulled the engagement ring off her finger. I forced my way past Emily and I told her to never contact me again and that I would call the police if she did. I got in my car and drove away and I stayed in the motel for a night. I opened up to one of my coworkers about what happened and he was kind enough to let me stay at his place for a few nights. I didn't reach out to anyone in my family because I was not in the mood to do that. I had trouble sleeping because I couldn't get the image of my father and Emily out of my head. But the real kicker was how I was going to tell mom about what I had seen. My mom is the sweetest person, and how could my father do this to her? They've been married for 35 years. Obviously, the man who raised me isn't who I thought he was. I tried reaching out to my mom to see if we could meet, but I got no answer. I needed to tell her because she needed to know the truth, so I figured I would just drive over to their house. I'm not gonna lie, I was panicking the whole way there, and I had to pull over just to vomit. Oh. It's awful. I pull into their driveway and immediately I see the door open and my mother comes out cursing and swearing at me. "How dare you come into my house after hitting your father?" I was shocked when I heard this. Apparently, my father and Emily went to his house and told my mom that we apparently got into an argument, and when my father tried to intervene, I punched him. She then told me I was no longer welcome in that house and said I needed to leave. "Emily isn't ready to forgive you and hopefully she never will." Those words made my heart shatter into a million pieces because I was tearing up. I just let my anger burst because I had nothing to lose at this point, and I said, "If that's how you feel, then you should know that your husband is effing my fiance, and that's why I hit him. If you can't take my word for it, I have it on video and I'll send it to you." She froze right then and there. I told her I was coming to tell her, but because of the hurtful things she said, I realized she wasn't any better than my father for not being on my side. I told her since that's how she feels, then I don't need to see her again. I drove away and saw out of my rear view mirror that she was crying. I kind of felt bad because she was manipulated, but she needed to deal with the consequences for saying those hurtful things to me without even hearing my side of the story. How could any parent choose to believe their child's fiance over their own child? I just had to let my mom deal with the mess that my father created. Over the next couple of months, I moved into a new apartment across town. I blocked all 3 of their numbers and didn't hardly speak about the experience to anybody. I fell into a deep depression and I would lay awake just repeating that horrific scene over in my head. I didn't speak to them at all until my therapist suggested I at least reach out to my mom and try to mend things between us. I called her and I met up with her back at her house. She was crying and asking me to forgive her because she realized she had been manipulated and that's why she said those horrible things and that they weren't true. I had a very hard time believing that, and I told her I didn't come here there to hear her crying, I came to try to at least tell her my side of the story. She was obviously sickened when I told her the details, because neither my father or Emily did. She said she saw the video and kicked my father out. She had gotten in touch with a lawyer and was in the process of getting a divorce. Mom asked me if there was any possible way to mend things because she was just as much of a victim as I was. I told her it's going to be hard for me to fully forgive her for the things she said. I told her the worst part about it is that I didn't have my parents or family to turn to when I was at my lowest. It would be a long process, but I told her that we could take it one day at a time, but it would be at my pace. Maybe I can fully forgive her someday. Now, if you think this whole thing couldn't get any worse, brace yourself for this. I asked Mom if she knew what happened to Emily. The look on her face said it all. She said, "There's no easy way to tell you this. She's pregnant." For what seemed like forever, I just stared at the wall in utter disbelief. This couldn't be happening. Mom said she found out when Emily's mother called and told her. The worst part was that she didn't know who the father was. A million things were racing through my head and I started to suffer with a panic attack. I honestly don't know what's worse, my ex-fiance having my baby after she cheated on me with my father, or having a baby with my father. Neither are good options, really.
Both. They're both worse.
Like, which one would you rather have? Oh, terrible. I looked at my mom and I told her I don't want anything to do with Emily, but when that baby is born, I want a DNA test. Honestly, I've been going back and forth as to whether or not I should be involved in the baby's life if it is indeed mine. I understand you have to be responsible for the possibility of bearing children, but I feel like there's some exceptions and this clearly fits that. As of me writing this, the baby is due in August and I managed to get in contact with a lawyer and we have a plan in place to get a DNA test taken by both me and my father once the baby is born. As for my father, he's dead to me. I want nothing to do with him and I don't even refer to him as my father because he isn't. The man who raised me died that day and a piece of me did as well. There's no amount of therapy that can fix the damage that's been done, but not all hope is lost. My mom and I have begun the process of mending things and we're moving forward and it's going great. I've been more active and I've been surrounded by a group of close friends. I hope to have an update on this story when the baby is born because the truth needs to come out. Yeah. Thanks for letting me vent and get this off my chest. Wish me luck. I mean, all the luck in the world. And keep me posted, please. Keep all of us posted. The SAS squad needs to hear this update. I got to know! The most bizarre. Like, those are just stories where you can't even imagine it because it feels like it has to be fake because it's so insane. But this actually does happen in everyday life. So don't you love it here on planet Earth? Sometimes I'm like, what's happening? What's going on?
And what is going on?
You know? Next story also wants to be anonymous. I think I like my brother-in-law. We might want to unthink that.
No, don't like that.
Okay, hear me out. I know it's bad, but I don't know what to do. I have an amazing husband. I love him a lot and he loves me a lot. We love each other. When we met, we both loved each other at first sight. Anyways, my husband's brother and I didn't meet until my husband and I were married about 1.5 years later, as he works in another country and comes once every couple of months. It was just that every time I was in the same country as my husband, he was at work, and when I gave birth to our son, I was living in Canada, so that my mom could help me and then went back to my husband's country. So we met after I had our son, but he liked how I dressed, as I dressed religiously and modestly, and he likes that. He also likes my manners and everything else about me. The way he acts around me makes me feel special. He loves my son, and since he doesn't have kids and isn't married, he takes him as his own. He will buy him snacks and will buy him a pet bunny, etc. I love my husband like no other, and I can't see my future with anyone else. But I still like my brother-in-law for some reason. Please don't judge me, as I can't tell anyone my feelings, obviously. But yeah, I love my husband, but I also like his brother. I just wanted to get this off my chest. Thanks, Joss and friends. I know we're all friends here, but as your friend, I can't always support your decisions. If my husband liked my sister and had feelings for my sister, wrong. No, thank you. Inappropriate. So many things. All right, if you put this on here, people are gonna give their honest feedback in the comment section. So I don't know what to tell you on that, girl. I don't know what to tell you on that. I don't support it. I think we need to unlike brother. I think that's inappropriate. I don't think that's fair to your husband. Hello. Next story, also anonymous. Okay, so this is a lot of child-free parents' worst nightmare, and I unfortunately had to live it. A couple years back, I met a man online. We were great friends for about 6 months before we ended up dating. In those 6 months of friendship, I was very clear that I was child-free and I couldn't see myself having kids unless the stars aligned and I had the opportunity to adopt older children. I was very clear throughout that I didn't see myself wanting kids and that likely would not change. But I did explore options. Well, after we started dating, I ended up moving across the country for him. I quit my job and I headed far away from everything I ever knew. I loved the change. I loved the state I moved to. Everything was great for the first few months until around the holiday season. We were with one of his family members who had kids, and I heard the dreaded words, "They're so cute. Don't they make you want a few?" Nope, no, they do not. And he wasn't thrilled with my answer, so we had a talk. I told him it's okay if you changed your mind or if you want kids, but that's not what I'm looking for. If we're going to continue this relationship, you need to be okay with never having children. To which he said, yes, I accept that. I again thought things were getting back on track and it was just a hiccup. Boy, was I wrong. His family starts making comments. Mind you, we weren't even engaged yet, begging for us to have kids. I told him he needs to make them stop. It took forever, but he did. The next incident, we were at a bar and an iPad kid was throwing a massive tantrum, fell and broke a plate, and I made a comment about it being funny. Wrong move because he blew up, telling me, "You know how I feel about this." Nope. Apparently I do not. Now the final incident that ended it all. I dared to post a child-free post on my Instagram story. How dare I? We were already not in a great place and I knew that this was the end. He texted me that he was extremely upset and wanted to talk when he got home. Admittedly, I was a mess. When I calmed down, we talked. I started getting upset and he said that my post made him look bad because he wants kids. I asked if that was his final answer because I am dead set on not having kids. He said yes, and I broke up with him on the spot and I left to call my family to set up moving home. While waiting 3 weeks to move across the country, I got a 7-minute long video from my now ex-best friend. It's a video of him drunkenly ranting about how I don't deserve to be a wife because I don't want kids. The real kicker though, this is an actual line from the video, quote, "I need to have kids for my dad to carry on our bloodline of winners." Yeah, I dodged a bullet. Man, you really got to be aligned with people on that subject, you know? And it's okay for people to change their mind along the way because I think that happens quite often. Different phases of life, different paths, different careers, different finances, everything. But you have to be honest and you got to communicate. Whenever you're having any change or any feeling, you guys always have to be on the same page. Because that's a commitment you sign up for the rest of your life. A kid is not a joke. We got more drama, but first we gotta hydrate. It's hydration station. Cheers. Let me know what's in your cup.
Hey, so you're not gonna be very happy, but in a few days, you have to go for your annual exams and checkup with the vet. Yeah, I figured you would walk. Okay, no, let's not show our a-hole to the camera. Jeepers. Okay, well, I knew you wouldn't be happy. You can't avoid it. You can't avoid it. It's happening. We got to get you all checked up, girlfriend. You are due. It's your annual. No. Okay. She's pissed.
All right. Our next story also is anonymous. Don't use dating apps ever. I love when a story starts like that. I, 24 female, had an awful dating experience after meeting this guy. We'll call him John, 26 male, on Hinge. I understand there's a good chunk of successful dating stories that stemmed from dating apps, but there's also many disasters too. I definitely fall into this category and I'm permanently off dating apps because of this nightmare. We met on Hinge, although it should be called Unhinged. Without further ado, let's dive into it. This was 2 years ago in September of 2024. I had been on some dates dates in the past, but none of them got too serious. I'm a young woman who's not one of those girls looking to sleep around. I believe you should date with the intention to marry and not just doing so to mess with people. So obviously that kind of played a role as to why some previous dates didn't go as far. If you haven't gotten the impression, yes, I came from a Christian background, and that's played a factor in why I haven't had much success. I guess maybe that's a good thing because today's dating world is a joke, honestly. This experience proves it. John and I matched and his profile read 26 male, lived 15 minutes away, worked as a construction worker, and he had a cute pickup line that he sent to me. Are you part of the alphabet? Because if it were up to me, I would put you and I together. I've heard that before. I admit I'm a sucker for some smooth love talk. You could say he easily won me over. We exchanged messages every day for about 2 weeks. We eventually got to a point where we discussed meeting for the first time. John seemed to be a good guy. He said the right things, came from a good family, and was big and muscular just the way I like it. However, there was one red flag that I should have acknowledged. Once, I asked him if we could FaceTime so we could see and hear each other, but every time he declined because he said it was because of his job. He didn't get home until late and didn't want me to see him all sweaty and full of dirt. I figured I could understand that. We agreed to finally meet up at the bar that upcoming Saturday. I get all dressed up and ready to go. We met up at this bar, and for the most part, it was a great time. We talked, shared some drinks that he paid for, and we even danced because there was a live band performing. I was really feeling a connection. How could that possibly be ruined? Well, John was walking me back to my car, and as we said goodbye, he leaned in and started kissing me. Don't worry, that wasn't bad because I was genuinely into him, so I started kissing him back. But that in turn must have unleashed this inner darkness. He began getting a little frisky, if you know what I mean. He moved his hands and started groping my yabos and my booty. I told him he was taking things too fast and I wasn't ready for that sort of stuff, but he kept trying to seduce me in the parking lot in public. He kept trying to lean in and touch me, and I literally pushed him away, telling him I'm not interested. He went totally unhinged. I asked you out here. You owe me this. WTF? I most certainly did not ask for this, and I did not agree to sleeping with someone on the first date. I tried getting into my car, but John blocked the door and told me I wasn't going anywhere unless he came with me. Absolutely not. Now, for context, John was 6'3" and about 230 pounds. A very strong man, and I'm nowhere near as strong as him. He grabbed me and pinned me against the car and put his arm around my neck. I'm absolutely horrified at this moment because I knew something very bad was going to happen. He whispers in my ear saying, "Back seat right now and no one gets hurt." Girl. He had grabbed my purse off my shoulder so I couldn't just drive away. I had no choice but to do as he said. I'm getting concerned, so trigger warning, because I don't know where this goes and it's sounding a lot more serious than I thought. I'm not going to give all the details, but John forcibly kissed me and did start to undress me. I was thinking about my family and loved ones the whole time because I feared for the worst. I was also trying to possibly look for an opening to get away. Somehow, by the absolute intervention of God, there just so happened to be a couple, a man and a woman, who were walking nearby and looked over at us. I immediately shouted as loud as I could, "Help me, get him off me." The man came running immediately and grabbed John and literally threw him out and onto the concrete. He's trying to force himself on me. Stop him. Turns out the stranger was actually an off-duty police officer who was out to dinner with his wife. Girl. Amen. The officer, who I will call Frank, told his wife to take me to a safe place and call the police while he dealt with John. The wife helped me gather my stuff and escorted me away. After getting dressed, she takes me back inside the bar and informs the manager of what happened and calls the cops. I sat down at the front bench until the police arrived. About 20 minutes go by and Frank walks in with a bloodied face and he has some scratches on his arms. I feared that John got away, but it turns out Frank did manage to outwit John and pinned him on the ground until the other police officers were able to take him away. A huge sigh of relief. Frank checked on me and informed me that they had taken John to jail and that he would not bother me again. He did ask me for some details about what happened, and I informed him on everything. Note, I was crying while telling him everything. I thanked him for being there when I needed a hero. Frank had been a police officer for 12 years, and he told me that when the officers read John's record, it turns out John was a registered offender. He had prior incidents of sexual misconduct against multiple women. How was this man out walking the streets and not serving time? I don't want to provide any information about John or what happened due to, safety reasons, but thankfully I've never had to deal with him again, and I just hope he's in jail for a long time. I also have stayed in touch with both Frank and his wife, not as friends, but more like acquaintances because I owe them for literally saving my life. As for Hinge, I reported the incident to the app, but guess what? All I got was, sorry that you had that experience, we'll make changes to enhance the safety of our members. I immediately deleted the app and I'm never going on dating apps ever again. They suck. I just wish we could go back to the way dating used to be for the sake of everybody's safety. There's a lot of lunatics out there and I can't go through this again. Oh girl, they are out there, and they are out there not on the apps, they're out there on the apps. I am so sorry that happened to you. Horrific nightmare. And I'm just so glad you are okay. Someone intervened, doesn't take away what you still went through. Oh my gosh. This was more of a serious. I thought we just went on a really bad first date. No, very serious. Oh, my heart goes out to everybody. We all need love. God, can't we all just get along and be normal and be happy in this world? Like, is that so much to ask for? My God, we're only here once. Everybody chill out. Anyways, let me know your thoughts and feelings, you guys. Remember, if you want to get a story in, make sure you submit while the form is open. Stay classy out there. Stay sassy. I'll see you tomorrow.